Okay. Great. お願いします。
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 Excellent. Great, shift in front and back. And then side to side.
What's going on?
Okay, mix into rotation. Okay, pull into the spine. Great. We just go a little bit to the top, so just bring the fingers together, stretching all the way up, releasing it, curling from the spine, all the way down, nice and slow. Just take the time at the bottom, relax the head, slowly back up, cycle between these two positions, nice and slow. Stretching all the way up to the top. Curling all the spine down. One more time. Up to the top. Okay, great. So with the hands now splitting them at the top, and then bending from the knees, stretching the body forwards, all the way, curling the spine again at the bottom. Curling up at the top, a little bit of a back bend, gently. Stretching out towards the front as you go down. Maybe one more time here. Okay, we'll do the side, just go a little bit wider, the body. Okay, just first start by just stretching out the shoulder to the side and keep the hips kind of stable. It's mostly just coming from the shoulder. And just focus on one side, take the opposite arm over, stretch it out, draw it back with the movement. Stretch out first, then move the arm to front side. Changing the side. Yeah. Great. Okay, we'll come back to the center. Just working first with the arms. Just going to swing them down. So just going to swing them down this way. Drop in the center. Just getting the body dropping in. Just letting the arms be nice and heavy. Switching now to the shoulder, finding the hip with the opposite hand. Just let the weight sink. Great. In the swing, just think about gently dropping into one leg. So very gently just shifting the weight a little bit more into one foot. And time it with the swing. So, great. Great. So we'll do another opening close movement. So this time really close the body at the front. And then think about really opening out, drawing the arms up and bringing the arms to like a little bit like 45 degrees. You're kind of touching the corners of the room. So you're going to close down And think about really opening it from the center, spreading the hands out nice and wide. Just find a nice comfortable position, let the arms kind of sit into the back, drop again into it. Just play emptiness to movement. Holding it a little bit at the top, full extension. And for the arms really out from the core of the body. Feel the weight also in the ground, so the feet, hands, equal extension out. So focusing on the spine, so you're kind of curling and then lengthening through the top, lifting the head up. Spine's nice and long. And then just add a third position to it. So you're going to close, open up to the top, full extension, and then think about sinking the hips down, drawing the arms down into a 𝒂𝒂𝒂 position, nice and heavy with the arms, and then just drop it, close, open, long in the back, and then keep that length, engage the hip down, very slight, lean forward with the hips, with the chest. Yeah. Take that position, drop the arms into it. That's it. Just play the slightly different position as well. So play with this position, coming out to the sides. So just play a little bit here in this position and just feel the arms up. The main thing you don't want to happen in coming into this 𝒂𝒂𝒂 position is then loaded in the arms in this kind of position. So try and feel here that you want to kind of load the arms into the frame of the body. So just feel the weight of the body and where they're situated. You don't want to try and feel where the weight of the arm is. You go into this kind of position, so just cycle between kind of here, until you feel like as if there's a kind of table, high table next to you, or a bar, and just kind of you want to feel that the weight's kind of entered it. When you feel that kind of is heavy, take that kind of weight with you as you go in. It's going to kind of close it to the front, but keep that sense that you're kind of loading the arm, as if it's kind of sitting down onto something. So just play kind of coming out. Find the place where the arm feels less heavy. So it feels like it's just kind of loaded into the body. Which is not necessarily a kind of specific point, it's just a kind of feeling and will depend on your structure as well. So just feel that kind of holding the arm up and then think about closing it to the front. The main thing I want to feel is the weight isn't kind of loaded into the hands, and then I'm holding the arms out. Just want to feel kind of nice natural extension out. Try and feel the arms linking into the back of the structure. And yeah, another key signal for us is the front of the body. So I don't want the front to be hard and kind of tight. So think of the front also in this position being quite soft. 3, and then it stays soft as you just check the structure, especially the shoulders. And then just as you come into this position, I just want to feel, just try and hold it for a little bit. So hold it like 60 seconds or so. But I want to use the breath as well. So if you find yourself kind of up here, feel you use the breath, release into it. So you want to kind of drop everything. You don't want everything to collapse, obviously. Keep the extension. Just use the breath in and out. Just to relax into it. And you're looking for a kind of really heavy quality, so it's engaged in the hip. The upper body. Keep the extension through the top of the head. Knees nice and soft as well. Hands nice and expanded. Right. Okay, nice and simple. We've practiced this going into movement. But just think about now that position of the arm and just dropping into one leg to kind of shift between the two. But think about now the weight sinking one side, one arm. So you want to chain the movement of the arm, kind of slotting in. So a feeling of weight entering the legs. You don't need to move the feet much. Just explore the side here now without dropping in one side. Same sense, so coming into hand now. Think about then the weight sinking through the whole structure, one side of the body. Just experiment a little bit with the foot position. Great, and just explore here for just from this position. Just check the front hip. So this hip as you come in. What you don't want to do is tighten it. So you don't want to feel this whole area is kind of tight with the arm, that it's kind of stuck. So just play with that whole area and try and release it more. So you're thinking a little bit more about the back of the hip, and think about the heel as well. So you kind of think about the whole back side of the leg. But I don't want to lock the front of the joint, especially like I don't want to feel that the front of the hip's locked and that the knee's locked. So it kind of relates to the knee, but think about the connection in the hip and the heel of the foot. So just play with that area, but feel that part of the body's still kind of free. And the main thing is that it can kind of receive weight, that it's not locked, and then I'm kind of cut off from that joint. So just play with that sense of freedom in the front hip. Just check both sides. You'll probably feel one side's a bit different, one side might be a bit tighter. Okay, great. So we're going into a rotation through it. So just play with the body kind of loose, shoulder width apart, And just what you want to feel here is that the whole body from the front and the back rotates, and then you find the form this way. So just play with going from a kind of very neutral position. Don't worry about the kind of angle of the rotation. The main thing is that the hips, the shoulder, all the chest area is all going to kind of go together. And then you want to kind of just settle into that position. So just play with this idea. The whole body's going to kind of rotate. Legs are free, knees are released. Just come into the position here. And just check the hips at the end, check the shoulders. Heavy, relaxed. Keep now just this rotation. Enjoying the rotation. Okay, just watch how you go into the rotation. So when you do this, watch for doing this. I don't want to fall into the rotation in that foot. So think as you do this, take the rotation nice and slow. You want to feel, in order to be kind of balanced, you're going to drop the weight into the leg that you're not rotating on. So if you think about, pick a side that you want to rotate on. So in this case, that side. I'm gonna, in order to release that leg, I need to kind of sink the weight into this leg, into the opposite side. So think of sinking into that side, not dropping into it, but just sinking the weight into it. So you feel it's kind of loaded, and then feel that hip's free, and then from that rotate into it. So again, just play with kind of dropping the weight, but choose the side and sink to the opposite side, so that you don't kind of push out of it. You fall into the ground one side, and then bring the opposite side. Slow down, but sinking. Releasing it. Great. Okay, take it to the full movement. So working from a hammy initially, and just think again. You're going to drop into the weight. This time you're really sinking the weight in. So as you go in, sinking it. Fine. You've got a full rotation. Sinking. Sinking. So just check with these positions. There's kind of two directions which tend to get emphasized or overemphasized in this case. So the first one is this direction, kind of coming in where I get lost in this kind of level, so that the sense gets kind of pulled out, and then again, kind of in the rotation, I fall into it this way. So that's exaggerated, but watch this direction as you go in. That sense of falling into it. So the other one is the forward motion because the arms come into the front of the body. So you can show from here, this kind of position. So I get loaded here, and then I'm loaded basically in the front of the body. The arm gets loaded, gets tense, and then I come into this kind of position, something like that, so I get loaded to the front. So just check these two positions. The first one, they're both corrected by just getting this feeling of coming into the center line. So the match of it, if you feel the body going this way, meet it with the opposite side of the body, so this line of the body. Meet it with that. If you feel the front kind of loading in, meet it with the back line of the body, so meet it by bringing in the back a bit more. Just try and figure out where you are in those motions. Try and balance out the directions in terms of the structure. Tricky because you're engaging the body forward, you're engaging the body down, but try and match it. And the body is balanced as you go. The main signal in this movement that I'm off balance is also the arms, so watch out for the arms feeling like they're loaded. If they're loaded and kind of tense, and I'm generally in a kind of off position in the balance. So on the ability of the arms to be heavy and release from the shoulder. Find a good signal you're in a good position. Great, and then just play this in a little bit more dynamic way. So play with just a neutral position here. Now you're going to bring the whole movement together. So you're offering, rolling in, and finding the position at the end is one movement now. So start neutral. As you offer, drop the weight in, and then catch the rotation of the body. Step out, roll, from the weight. Step out, roll, from the weight. Yeah, try and set this up so that it's all one movement. So try and really play with this position, the arms are neutral. And then when you go, off of the foot comes out final. So this all really happens one movement. What you don't sort of this like here and then go into this is fine, just really just the basics. So play with going from here, this position, and then feel you off, rolling, final. So it's really one whole movement, the offering, rotation, and settling. One thing. Okay, we'll just take this into 𝒊𝒏𝒈 work. So just working, imagine Shomanuchi, just working here with the feet down and just playing with extending the arm out. So finding the center line of the body and just play with the key idea now is the spine, the rotation that's happening in the core is is transferring into the arm. So just allow this area communicating to the arm with it. So just play with it, kind of going neutral, rotating into it, rolling through it, and let the hand also roll. So if there was a contact point here, this is also kind of rolling. So it's not just moving in space that way, but think about kind of rolling your arm. Basically tying the hand and the belly button together. So think of that whole motion together. So. So again, all those points kind of stay the same. So watch now the hips as you go into this. Try and avoid this position. I'm basically loading up the hip. And from here, the hip's super tight. So the only choice I've got next is to kind of fall into it, into the Aikido. So think of here, this position, dropping into the hip, but keep the hip soft. So you want to fully feel it, just play with this position here, but play with how soft you can keep the hip through that rotation. So as you rotate into it, I don't want to feel that I'm shifting the weight to the front of the joint. So feel that you're then working the underside of it. If you imagine like an arch across the back of the underside of the legs, it's kind of staying open. So again, think about the hip to the heel connection, but keeping the hip open. And the test from that, just play with this feeling from here. Just play with the idea of shifting the weight into the leg, so kind of stepping through with it. But you want to feel that you don't kind of fall into it, where the leg becomes a kind of prop, but you want to feel that you can relax into it. So that, just feel the kind of shift of the weight into it. So get to a full rotation through it. And then feel the joints release that I can shift, or I can just set. Okay, perfect. Okay, so keep the hands doing the same, or keep the front hand doing the same thing. Start to bring in the back hand now. So again, just play with the back side, the connection. So the back hand back here, as you go into it, you're playing with this kind of connection now. So just kind of drop the front hand. Again, you want the hips to be working with the arm. So again, just focus on that kind of connection. With the Aikido kind of coming down into that kind of position. And then again, from here, you want that hip to be free. Let this hip spiral in. Find that position here. Just focus now on the kind of back side of the arc. Just coming up, finding the elbow screwing through the hip, and then stepping through the leg. Let the movement kind of spiral all the way up the torso. And check the hips are free, and then step into it. So again, just play with this connection. There's two ways you can, or there's two sides you can go to it. You can make it super soft in terms of like just kind of throwing the arm out and just feeling, you want to feel that connection from the hip is transferring into the hand. Or you can go to the other side and make the connection more solid, which is basically like taking it into an 𝒂𝒊𝒏𝒈. So feel that kind of dynamic's the same. That kind of dynamic from the ground there, and you can also take it into this kind of soft, like you're just kind of throwing the arm out. So just play in this kind of area. And then for the Aikido, we're kind of somewhere in the middle of it. It's got this kind of spiraling through that, coming in, coming down with it. But just play with that connection here, nice and we've got super loose. We've got this idea of a little bit tighter with the connection where you're kind of impacting out the hand. Just work with that connection from the hip down. Yeah, if you take it to the 𝒂𝒊𝒏𝒈, this is easier to feel. So the key thing here is that you're not throwing yourself out of the center. So the 𝒂𝒊𝒏𝒈 will exaggerate this. So that kind of feeling will get thrown out. So totally off the center. So play with this idea of working with the 𝒂𝒊𝒏𝒈, but feel that you kind of remain in the center of it. So you're throwing. This is the same whether you throw the arm out loose or you go through with a kind of strike and release it. But try and feel that you remain in the center. The problem is I need to engage into the hip, into the front leg, because you're going to kind of step through it. But keep that sense that you're actually remaining in the center. The control of the body's in the center and the hips, that you can freely move. I feel like it gets thrown out. That's when the hip locks. Yeah. Okay, perfect. We'll kind of tie the hands together. So this is easier done with a jug, or you can use a belt also for this, because that's also good. But we'll play now with the jug a little bit. 1, 2. So first, just going to kind of tie the hands together. So with the rotation in the spine, it's happening in the front and the back of the body. Just play with this kind of area first. So just a kind of horizontal move. The key things feel that they're moving equally. So the main failure of an 𝒖kido is that I'm kind of pushing with one side over the other, and then I lose the extension in the arm, and then I've got to take it somewhere else. So for the 𝒖kido to kind of function, I need both arms working together and at the same amount as well. So just use that nice and easy. Just lock in the connection with the arms and then just take them. So the key thing here to feel, the other reason the 𝒖kido will fail usually is because I'm loaded into the front of the body, and then I go into this kind of position, and then I'm basically falling through it, so I don't have the control of the ground. The person can basically steal the arm back. So play with here as you rotate, just feel where you're rotating from. So you don't want to obviously rotate from the front like this, and you also don't want to rotate just from the back of the body. So feel you're meeting the movement right through the sense line of the body. So the front and back rotating equally. And then just start to increase the flexibility in the hip. So just opening the hips out, front and back. Again, keep that sense that you're rotating the whole body from its axis. So not only think about the kind of center point of the body, but the center line, the whole. That's perfect. Great, and then start to raise and lower the arms. So you're working in this position, and then you're coiling down. Yeah. Again, just try and focus on the arms moving together, so they move equally. Down. You've got that same rotation through the spine. So that kind of dropping into it, so raising up. And keeping the extension away from the body. Again, just check in with the hips, just feel hips are still open, and you should have the ability, when you're in the lower position, just to feel you can step in whilst keeping that structure. Play with getting fully down, loaded in, and then step into it. Yeah, again, this is a tricky point. So when you go into the step now, so you've got this position, just notice the tendency as you go into this to load into the front arm and then up in this kind of position. Again, kind of collapse through it. So think about as you go in, try and balance out the movement with the backhand as well. So you're keeping this pull tight as you go in, pull that tight. So imagine this, your hands are kind of drawn away from each other. So you keep that from the original position. That load it down, and as you go into it, focus on as you shift the weight into this leg, that hand matches that weight shift as well. So that you want to kind of, as you step in, think about kind of pulling the jaw apart a little bit. Yeah, that's it. Good. Keep moving it. Excellent. Nice. Okay, good. And as you reach that final position, so you've taken the step in that position, feel without actually going to the ground, or you can if you want to, but feel that from that position you can just drop the hips down into the ground. So you want to feel a kind of pressure down through it. So if you notice that the body's out in this kind of position, and I think how to drop down, I'm basically going to fall into it forward. So without catching the body, I'll just kind of fall into it. So find a position, you come into it. Try and feel that you've got a position where you can drop the weight into it. And obviously the knee's going to come down, you're going to drop into the ground, but feel that the weight can just stack straight down into the ground. Yeah, that's it. Great, and then just play with making it a little bit more dynamic. So starting from this position with the joke here, you're gonna a little bit like we did in the tiny henko now. So as you come in, the hand comes up. This is all going to be one motion. So this to this coming in and then shifting the weight in. So just do it like as a kind of slow draw through the whole movement. So you're coming up, find the position, dropping in, shifting the weight through. And trying to keep the core, everything connected to the arms. Keeping the balance as you extend through. Okay. Just playing with this exercise, it's just to get the feeling of that you're doing it with the body. So the setup is like this. You've got the Joe in front of the body. The Joe's kind of representing the person in this one. So what I want you to feel is you come across with the front foot this way. This comes across, and then the key thing here is that the body's going to enter into the Joe. So you're kind of passing through the Joe. The key thing with this with the Aikido is this step in is going to go through the person, straight through. What I don't want to do is kind of step around or something like that, where I'm kind of going around. So think with this one, you've got the jaw a little bit further, a little bit more extended than it would be like with a 𝒊𝒏𝒈. You're going to come out, and then think about this back leg coming through, stepping through the jaw this way. So you're kind of taking the jaw out, like you're kind of sweeping it. So you go away, and then through this way. So before we're going to kind of tip the person out, and then step in this way. What is that? Something now. Just play with this, just the idea of the body entering in.
Thank you, Michael.
Thanks, Nina.
Thanks a lot. Have a good day. Bye.
Yes. Yeah. Nice. Nice. Yeah, perfect. Great, and then just to tie this in with the arm, so you're going to work with the back arm, will be the, yeah, this arm that comes out. So just play with this, just to get this idea now of as you cut in this way, keep this extension out as you step in this way. So it's not quite the form, but it's just to get the feeling of tying now the arm, that arm, this movement, into this movement, you're kind of coming down into that. So just play with grip on the jaw. It's mainly about what's happening with the body. So this connecting out, and then this connection in. This.
If you take a look at the fourth 𝒍𝒂𝒏𝒈, you would have the same movement of coming in.
Yeah, right. Yeah. The same. Yeah. This kind of movement. Yeah. Right. Similar kind of dynamic. So
48, depending on.
Oh, yeah. Right. Yeah, that same kind of. Yeah.
Yeah.
That kind of
same direction that you need to find with your body to actually enter into that space.
Right. The same. Yeah. That exact same thing's happening with the hip.
Yeah.
That same kind of hip rolling in, and the way you're kind of corkscrewing through the leg, like that, and also relaxing into it. That ability to like corkscrew in, relax it, so that the legs kind of super heavy as you do it, and then that gives you the weight in the other leg to press through as you go into it. Notice it's like judo, so it's like use that same kind of dynamic, like it's a sweep, and you can use this as a sweep as well. If you think about that leg coming in and kind of sweeping the leg out from them as well. So that works nice.
Not a lot of people would expect that.
No.
Let's do Aikido with a sweep. Oh, surprise! The problem with that is somebody might land completely flat on their back because you're really taking out their balance.
Yeah, right. This is a bonus. Yeah, right. Exactly. Okay, great. Just play this a little bit of dynamic with the 𝒍. So now start in this kind of position here, and just play with this idea. You're going to roll back. It's more like the kind of 𝒖𝒂𝒂𝒂 for the katatedori. But think about kind of rolling back and then keeping this out, this whole spiral. The key thing now is, again, just linking this together so you've got the backwards movement, let the whole body kind of coil. Think about the kind of third 𝒂𝒏 that you do here with the 𝒍. You got this kind of backwards coil, roll it, and then get that spiral kind of coming from the core in, and then keeping that sense kind of stepping through the arms. So you got a backwards roll, extension out into a spiral. So it's really a super close spiral now. One coming to the back, one through. Keeping the arms in extension. And the other thing you can play with here with the 𝒍 is kind of with the timing as well. So you can let the 𝒍 kind of drop towards the floor. So you're kind of linking then the drop, timing that movement and kind of catching it. So yeah, you don't want to catch it. So you don't want the feeling too much like a catch, but you want the feeling that you're catching it in the hip and then coming through with it. So you can also play a little bit with timing work with the 𝒍. So it's got a sense that's coming in with that. Catch it and follow it. Catch it. Nice. Yeah, just one point with this. The main thing to be aware of is the kind of center line to it. So it's really like weapon work in a way. You're coming off the center line this way. And then what I don't want to do is kind of go back onto it, back onto the original line. So I'm going to kind of clash into them. So think of this as you go around this. Now this center line becomes that motion. So I'm coming through, and then at the point when you've got them in this position, that's when you're kind of re-establishing the center line, coming back into it. So think about coming away, keep them away from the center line, and then if you've got them compromised, or you've got this position strong, think about kind of stepping through, and then that's where you're going into the pin. So you're wedging the line and then entering it at the end of it. Wedge, and okie dokie, great. Let's stop that. Kind of EQ. Great. Domo, arigato. Perfect. Very good. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Thank you.